Hello and welcome to Heavenly Album Covers. We are going to demonstrate and show one of the most interesting albums and album covers that we here at Heavenly Album Covers have ever presented. And this album is called Around the World with Three Dog Night. It came out in 2004. It was a archival release by the Three Dog Night people, their management. They had this album in the can for years, and they finally got some engineers together and they remixed it, remastered it, and it came out in this form as a 5-record set in 2005 by the Three Dog Night. Now, we here at Heavenly Album Covers have always liked Three Dog Night, but since we've started this YouTube channel, we've become even more of fans of Three Dog Night. The more we examine the group, the more interesting it has become to us, especially this album, which came out in 2005, recorded by the Three Dog Night, and we are going to cover this album very closely today. Hopefully this episode won't go too long. We actually had to edit down a lot of the material in this episode. The result are these notes we've come up with about this album and Three Dog Night, but we had an entire thick book full of Three Dog Night information, and this is Three Dog Night here on the iPad, the Heavenly iPad. These are Three Dog Night, and I have to get my pointer out here. It really helps. This is Chuck Negron, Danny Hutton, Corey Wells, and the other member of the group is named Mickey Dolenz. He was in the Beatles for a while, and we'll get to his story in a second. Now, Three Dog Night were neighbors. At least two of the members were neighbors in high school back in Toronto, Canada, and they met also in high school. They were friends in high school, good buddies. These two guys, Danny and Corey, and they were good friends. Later on, they met Danny Hutton on the high school basketball team back in Toronto, and they actually ended up all together in a high school down in New Mexico at Albuquerque High School in New Mexico. And these two guys, Danny Hutton and Chuck Negron, formed a small band, and Danny's cousin was Mickey Dolenz, who was in the Beatles. He had taken a break from the Beatles and had traveled to New Mexico, where he studied piano. Mickey Dolenz was and still is a piano virtuoso. At a very young age, he was a prodigy, a piano genius. He played all over the world. He did concerts and special events, and he also became an actor. He was on several episodes of Leave It to Beaver and Mannix. And he was the co-star on a program called Murder, She Wrote, later in the 1980s. But Three Dog Night formed in high school, and they soon met a person named Mary Torrance, who was the girlfriend of Mickey Dolenz, and she was a great singer, so they formed a band. These Three Dog Night, these future Three Dog Night friends formed a band with Mickey Dolenz and a woman named Mary Torrance, who was a great jazz singer, and they called themselves the New Mexico Four. They released 3 regional singles on Motown before moving to Casablanca Records in 1983. Eventually, Three Dog Night gradually and eventually emerged from this jazz combo with Mary Torrance, and at that time, guitarist Eric Clapton, he had yet to join the Black Sabbath group. Eric Clapton was a member of Three Dog Night for several weeks, and also at this point, Mickey Dolenz became interested in Balinese gamelan music. That's a kind of drone, kind of drumming music with bells. And Mickey Dolenz left Three Dog Night and soon joined a spiritual sect led by Eric Burden, who had just recently left the pop group, the Grassroots. Soon after that, Danny, Corey, and Chuck soon became an integral part of the Laurel Canyon hippie scene, especially Danny Hutton and Corey Wells. They were really interested in the Laurel Canyon scene, and they were gradually, this entire Three Dog Night group, were eventually discovered by real estate mogul Art Garfunkel, who bankrolled Three Dog Night's first album. Their first album is called Three Dog Night Volume 1, which contained the regional hit Uptown with My Baby at the Nightclub, which also features Jimi Hendrix, an early proponent of Three Dog Night. Jimi Hendrix on tambourine, and Charlie Watts came over from the Argent group, and he played saxophone. Charlie Watts was a great saxophone player. Three Dog Night soon developed a big following regionally, but also across the United States and several other parts of the world. But soon Danny Hutton left the group, and he went back to high school to get his diploma. He had left high school to join this group and Mary Torrance in that jazz group, the New Mexico Four. And later on, Randy Bachman, who was a session singer, he was a background singer, and Steve Jones from The Damned from England, they joined Three Dog Night, and they soon had their biggest hit, and that song was called Joy to the World, Joy to Everybody. And so that brings us up to date. And as I said, there's just tons of information about Three Dog Night, especially really interesting information about Three Dog Night. And that brings us up to this album by Three Dog Night, and it's called Around the World with Three Dog Night. And this came out in 2004.